You made it. Good. Hello. Hello. I'm glad you're here. All right. Hello. Hello. Good evening, darlings. Good evening. Welcome in. I know last time for the debut we didn't get a whole lot of time to just chat. So we get to do that tonight, which I am actually incredibly excited about doing. I am excited about doing that. Happy affiliate anniversary. Well, thank you. Thank you. Yes. Don't mind me watching it on Twitch and YouTube. I love that. I love that. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate that. It helps out more than you know. But if you are going to pick one platform over the other, just to let everybody know, we are focusing on the YouTube side of things now. So if you want to be super helpful, head on over to YouTube. That's where I would prefer you all to be. It is, yes. Happy affiliate anniversary. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate it. Thank you. YouTube is, in fact, where it's at. Well, anyway, I was hoping that you guys might be able to help me out with a little something that I've been having trouble with. What is a small, everyday sound that you notice immediately when it stops happening? What's a small, everyday sound you notice immediately when it stops happening? Something that perhaps you don't think about while it's going on. It's just kind of that background sound. But as soon as it stops, nothing quite feels right anymore. What is that sound for you? It'll help me categorize something I've been working on. Your bedroom fan. Yes. The neighbour's dog barking. That sounds rather unfortunate. I do hate when someone just has a dog that's barking non-stop. Your ceiling fan. Yes, it does be a common one, doesn't it? If I don't hear the fridge humming, I get incredibly suspicious. You know what? Honestly, that's fair. The hum of my printers. Yes. We do tend to notice things, don't we? For me, I would have to say it's the house settling. The sound of the house settling. When it goes quiet, I assume it has finished listening. That's never quite comfortable, is it? What about the AC? Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, that is a perpetual sound, isn't it? What was the question? An ad played at the wrong time? See, this is why you should be on YouTube. Anyway, the question is, what is a small, everyday sound that you notice immediately when it stops happening? When the sound stops happening is when it comes to your attention. What does that sound for you? The pitter-patter of my cat's feet from upstairs. Ah, yes. Yes, that is a good one. Is a good one. Hearing the chickens. Oh, I like that. I like that, yes. Hello, Jaxo. Hello. The birds outside your window. Ah. But are there birds outside your window all day? Or is it simply that they drop off at night and you realise you've stayed up far longer than you ever meant to? Hmm. Hmm. It is an interesting question. Well, in any case, since we have the chance to talk for just a little while before we get into tonight's main activity, I'd like to let you know that tonight we are, of course, going to be having another story. Another story. Yes. Yes, another choose your own horror story, to be more exact. Which should be, I think, quite a lot of fun. Quite a lot of fun. I do enjoy doing these, and you definitely shouldn't think about them overly hard. Or perhaps you should. But before we get into that, I would like to have a little conversation with you, because I noticed that the first time we did one of these, there appeared to be a little bit of, shall we say, confusion. Not that I'm surprised about that. It does seem to be a thing that happens with humans, doesn't it? So we're going to have a little chat about that. About the candle call? No. I think the candle call was quite clear. However, what I do think is that the first question of our stories might have confused you. And I, in my infinite wisdom and delight, and because I enjoy you so much, I thought I'd give you a little bit of guidance, as it were. So all of our choose your own horror stories will always present you with the same first choice. And that choice is going to be how it is that you choose to experience our tale. Now, you will always be asked, do you wish to experience the story as an observer, as a participant, or as a witness? These three roles in terms of our story do not determine yourself or your own position. No. That is what the candle call is for. This first choice is actually going to materially change the story. For example, the observer role is written in such a fashion that you are far more detached from what is happening. For example, you see things. You're focused on noticing what is around you. The participant role is much more focused on attempting to make you feel as though you are living inside of the story a little bit more. It is more focused on physical and internal sensations. And the witness role is a little bit more subtle than the other two. I expect you guys might learn to appreciate it a bit later down the road. But the witness role is far more focused on connecting all of the little pieces together as you go on. So when you're asked to select your role once we begin the story, I'm not asking you if you would like to simply sit back and listen to a tale, or if you would like to actively participate. Your participation is assumed. In fact, without your participation, the story cannot continue. They're designed with you in mind. You shape where we ultimately end up. And that is the funnest part. See, whilst you get to go through the story, determine what choices we make, where we go, what we do, what we don't do, it is your actions in choosing that I quite delight in seeing. Now then, do we have any questions regarding our choose your own horror stories? So we could think of the first choice as a sort of difficulty setting. Not quite. Not quite. There isn't a difficulty, per se. It's more akin to choosing the character that you wish to play as. So you might consider a fighting game, where you're given a selection of different fighters that you might utilise. Much more like that, I would say. I would like to take a moment to say thank you for the follows. You are absolutely excellent. And for those of you who are truly wonderful, lovely little darlings, if you're on the YouTube, where you should be, take a moment, double check, make sure that you are in fact subscribed. For those of you that are subscribed, you will notice long form content is being released on YouTube now, as well as short form content. In fact, you should be getting shorts pretty regularly. And if you are on YouTube, go ahead and hit that like button for me. It does wonders for the algorithm. Interesting. I do love these little hearts. Well then, I wonder. Let's see. I've been told that you, for whatever reason, do not have music, which is quite interesting. So we're going to see if we can fix that. Well, that got quite loud for me. Let's see. We'll check that there. We'll check our routing. Well, in theory, you should have music, although I'm not entirely certain why you don't. Ah, well. Perhaps something to deal with at a later point. Unless it's simply too quiet. No, it does not appear to be routing to you, and I'm not entirely certain why. Yes, please don't forget to hit the like button. It is rather important. It is, yes. Ah, well. It just plays whenever I speak. Well, that's interesting. That's interesting. It is something that we'll deal with at a later point. I don't want to spend a bunch of time worrying about it right now. It really is just background sound, to be perfectly honest with you. It's not important in any way. At least for now. We don't want things being too complicated straight off the bat. That would be a little too enlightening. Well then, are we ready, do we think, to proceed on? Would we like to get started for tonight? You should make a note of it for later. Well, thank you, Emmy. Always so helpful. Always so helpful. Notes have been taken. Do we or do we not have the best moderators in the world? I think we do. Well then, if we are going to get started for tonight, there's only one way in which we can do that. It's time for the candle call. Ah, yes, our candle call. We certainly do need to prepare the space before we begin unleashing things that might not choose to stay here if we don't. Well then, let's begin. The first candle is for the observers, those who watch, those who listen, those who remain. This candle is for you. Have we forgotten already, or do we just have no observers? We are meant, of course, to respond with a candle in the chat. There we go. Well done. The second candle is for the participants, those who step forward, those who engage, those who act. This candle is for you. Answer the call. The third candle is for the witnesses, those who remember, those who carry what happens here with them. This candle is for you. Answer the call. And the final candle I light myself, for those who would be here, if they still could be. Now then, our space is prepared. Let's move on. We're going to begin tonight with a reminder for those of you that are on Twitch. You are loved, you are valued. But, my darlings, if you would like to participate in our story tonight, if you would like to help choose and shape this story, you will need to be on the YouTube with us. This is not one of those stories where you are meant to sit back, to wander off, to turn this into YouTube television. Oh no. This is a sit up in your seat story. This is a story where I'm going to ask you to help, to make choices and shape how we continue forward. This story is entitled The Day at Willow Park. I do love a park. They're such cooperative little ecosystems, aren't they? Sun-warmed benches, freshly trimmed hedges, the faint perfume of sunscreen and sugar and cut grass. Everything arranged so neatly for happiness. This particular afternoon was flawless. The kind that convinces people the world is fundamentally kind. Not too hot, not too breezy. Just enough golden light to make every balloon look professionally curated. Willow Park. You've seen one like it. You've walked one like it. There's always a playground slightly too close to the road. Always a table that wasn't meant to be permanent, but has been set up as though it might stay forever. Always at least One cluster of parents orbiting iced coffee and folding chairs, laughing too loudly because they're trying to compete with children's joy. And then, of course, the ritual. A cooler opens, a cake is lifted, candles are counted. Twice. 4 of them. Such a thrilling number, isn't it? 4. So proud of itself. So certain it has mastered balance. 4-year-olds are magnificent creatures. They believe the world belongs to them. And most days it does. You were not there for the party. You were there for something much simpler. A leash in your hand. A dog at your side. A perfectly ordinary walk on a perfectly ordinary afternoon. No storms brewing. No sirens in the distance. No warnings stitched into the sky. Just a park. Just a birthday. Just a stretch of road where cars pass a little too quickly because no one ever thinks it'll matter here. And that is where our story begins. The pavement is warm beneath your shoes. Your dog is in an excellent mood. Not frantic, not pulling. Just that happy, alert rhythm of a creature who believes the entire world exists to be sniffed. The leash hangs with an easy curve between you. To your right, the playground hums with small chaos. Bright plastic slides, a climbing structure shaped like something vaguely nautical. The squeak of swings pushing air back and forth in a steady metronome. Just beyond the equipment, a folding table has been set up near the open gate on the low decorative fence. Balloons. Primary colours, unapologetic. They bob in lazy arcs, tied to the handle of a blue cooler. A sheet cake rests inside it, still hidden for the moment. Parents sit in a loose crescent around the table. Sunglasses, paper plates, iced coffees sweating quietly in cup holders wedged into camp chairs. Someone is scrolling. Someone is laughing too loudly at something on their phone. The children orbit in wild elliptical paths, shrieking, sprinting, collapsing, reforming. A specific brand of 4-year-old energy, uncoordinated, but fearless. You glance towards the street to your left. 2 lanes, light traffic. The speed limit sign reads 25. It feels more like a suggestion. The road bends gently, about half a block down, just enough that cars appear a bit later than you expect. Your dog pauses to sniff a patch of grass. The leash slackens. Someone at a table says, Okay, everyone come here. Before anything shifts, you must decide what kind of presence you are here. You may be an observer. You notice details. Your clock changes internally. You notice differences in movement and tone. You could be a participant. You step closer. You react when something feels slightly off. Or you could be a witness. You understand sequences. Which do you choose to go with? Now, I hope that you will argue shamelessly amongst yourselves. lobby for what you would like. Do choose wisely, won't you? I'll give you a moment to argue about it, but the poll is up. All right. I think you've had enough time for the time being, don't you? It looks like the participants have it. So then, we will decide to move forward as a participant. Wonderful. You weren't planning to pay attention to the party. You're just walking your dog. That's all. You loop around Willow Park in familiar, gentle patterns. A gentle oval of pavement bordered by grass that never quite grows evenly. The afternoon is bright, but not oppressive. The air smells faintly of sunscreen and cut lawn. To your right, birthday party is underway. It's easy to identify the centre of it. Folding table with the blue cooler, a cluster of balloons tugging at their strings, the adults in camp chairs angled towards something celebratory. The children continue moving in their unpredictable arcs, and they orbit the table in a loose gravity. You take all of this in automatically. You always do. Your dog pauses at the edge of the mulch border, sniffing at a discarded juicebox straw. You give the leash a light correction, guiding your dog back towards the path. You're not a part of the gathering, but you're close enough that if something required intervention, you would notice. That's how you think of yourself. Someone capable. Someone who would step in if needed. Your gaze sweeps the perimeter. The decorative fence around the playground is low and ornamental, waist high, painted black. A visual suggestion more than an actual barrier. There's a single gate where the path meets the mulch. You notice it immediately. The latch isn't properly seated. It's not open, not closed, just slightly off. The metal tongue resting outside the catch. It shifts faintly in the breeze and makes a small metallic click. You slow. Not because you feel alarm, but because misalignment draws your attention the way a crooked picture frame does. It would take almost nothing to fix. You glance towards the table. No one is looking at the gate. The adults are adjusting something on the cake. Candles, maybe. A child wearing a paper crown stands very still, performing seriousness for the camera. The other children move freely inside the fence, contained, but loosely. You look back at the latch. The gate could swing inward with light pressure. Not dramatically, but easily. You feel that subtle pull decision. Is this your problem? Not yet. But it could become one. The breeze shifts again. The latch taps softly against metal. Your dog lifts its head, peers forward. You hold the leash loosely. The afternoon feels balanced, but the gate does not. The latch is not fully secured. You do. You could examine it. Step closer, test it, fix if necessary. You could make a note of it and continue. You've seen it. If it becomes relevant, you'll act then. Or you could just assume that it's irrelevant. It's a birthday party, after all. There are adults there. Surely it's fine. I'll give you some time to debate amongst yourselves before we continue. But the poll is up, should you like to vote prematurely. It's funny, isn't it? The way none of the options seem entirely unreasonable. Surely one of them has to be the correct one, right? Surely there is a way forward that you'll feel more comfortable with. They're all plausible. A reasonable person might do any of them. But which one are you going to use? And it looks like you've decided to examine it. A wonderful choice. Quite telling out all of you, really. So you choose to examine it. You step towards the gate without overthinking it. It's not dramatic, not heroic, just practical. The latch isn't seated, and that means it can open with less resistance than it should. In a park full of children who move like sudden weather, that's enough to justify 2 extra seconds of attention. Your dog follows, mildly confused, but cooperative. Up close, the gate looks lighter than it did from the path. Decorative, hollow tubing. The kind of barrier meant to suggest order, more than enforce it. You lift the latch. It slides into place with a soft, clean click. You press the gate inward, testing the hinge. Holds. You push it outwards, gently. It resists. That's better. You don't linger, but you do scan the playground perimeter now that you're closer. The children are clustered near the table, where the cooler has just been opened again. A parent is counting candles, miscounting, and counting again. The birthday child stands very still in a paper crown, chin lifted slightly, as though being 4 is a very solemn responsibility. You glance towards the adults. No one appears aware that you've done anything. You don't need the acknowledgement. You just prefer that small, preventable things remain prevented. You step back towards the paved loop. Your dog sniffs at the fence post briefly and shakes its head as though resetting itself. The balloons tug upward and then dip again in the breeze, their strings brushing against a folding chair leg. The cooler lid shuts with a hollow plastic thud. You look once more at the gate. Secure. The fence encloses the children again in a clean line. The afternoon resumes its balanced shape. You rejoin the path. No one seems to notice. The moment the cooler opens for real, the air changes. You feel it, or you think. The children's motion tightens around the table, as if gravity has shifted. Their chaotic paths narrow into a dense cluster of small bodies pressing towards sugar and flame. The adults lean inward as well, arms braced on table edges, thumbs raised, voices lowering into a kind of focused coordination. Okay, not yet, not yet. Someone laughs. Someone steadies the birthday child in the paper crown. The perimeter thins. That's what you notice first. Not because you're looking for danger, because you're looking for structure. Your attention moves inward. Something else is left unattended. You scan the fence automatically. The gate, secured or not, is now partially obscured by balloon strings and chairbacks. The adults have unintentionally formed a soft wall between the table and the rest of the playground. Your dog slows. Its posture shifts in a way that makes your own shoulders tighten slightly. Not alarmed, not aggressive, just aware. The first note of the song begins. Happy birthday to you. The children sing too loudly, too fast, too joyfully to maintain rhythm. The sound fills the park and pushes everything else outward. You scan the edges. A girl in a yellow dress stands slightly apart from the densest part of the group. Not excluded, just offset. She watches the candles with interest, but her attention drifts more easily than the others. You clock her position. She's closer to the fence than to the table. That's fine. For now. The singing grows louder. The adults lean forward, angling for better photos. Your dog gives a faint, uncertain whine. You look down at it, then back up. The girl has shifted again. Not dramatically, just a step sideways, then another. She traces the fence rail with her fingers as she moves, distracted by the texture more than celebration. The song crests. And many more. Clapping erupts. The children surged closer to the table. In that surge, the space at the perimeter opens completely. You feel it. That small, sudden vacancy. The girl slips through the gap in the cluster. She's not running. She is not disobeying. She is simply following curiosity towards the edge of the playground. You measure the distance from her to the gate. Not far. The gate is still not the focus of anyone's attention. The adults are distributing plates now. Cake is being cut. Frosting smears onto napkins. And someone reaches for a stack of forks. No one's body is angled towards the exit. Your dog stiffens fully. You feel the leash tighten. You look at the girl again. She's reached the gate. She's pushed against it absent-mindedly. It moves. Not wide, not fast. Just enough. The singing has dissolved into chatter. You take one step forward, not fully committing, just enough to feel closer. The girl slips through the gate. No one calls her name. She steps onto the sidewalk. She pauses there. Not towards the road, just the outside fence. As if testing the idea of elsewhere. Your body leans forward. The adults are still facing the cake. You feel the decision rising in you. What will you do? Will you intervene? Step towards her? Close the distance? Will you wait and assess? Check the road before escalating? Or will you remove yourself from the situation entirely? Pull out to a parent? The choice is yours. Feel free to argue for your decision. The poll is up. If you would like to choose prematurely, I'll give you a moment to decide amongst yourselves. It is fun, I have to say. Getting to sit here and watch you go through how quickly so many of you make your decision. You're so confident, so certain. No time to pause and think. You don't weigh the options, do you? You just respond with your gut. Very interesting. Very common amongst you humans. And it is quite delightful to watch as it happens. Certainly your first decision is correct, right? No need to think about it too hard. I mean, after all, it's not like I gave you time to talk about it for a reason. Or did I? Well then, that does seem to be long enough. And it looks like you have chosen to intervene. Certainly an excellent decision. All right then, intervene you shall. You don't call out first. You move. You shift from observation to action. It's immediate, almost reflexive. The girl is outside the fence. That's enough. The adults are angled inward. That's enough. You shorten the leash without thinking and step off the paved loop towards the sidewalk. Your dog resists slightly, confused by the sudden change in direction. What follows when you apply gentle pressure? The distance between you and the girl feels small, smaller than it did a moment ago. She is standing just beyond the gate, fingers brushing the decorative metal, as if it were part of the playground itself. Her attention is soft and focused. She hums under her breath, a fading fragment of the birthday song. You're not planning to touch her, just to redirect. Hey, you call, keeping your voice calm. Let's stay inside. She turns towards the sound. Her expression is open, curious, not afraid. Behind her, the adults laugh again at something unrelated. Cake is passing in plates from hand to hand. You close the distance by half. Your dog gives a short bark, sharp, unexpected. The girl startles. Not backward, sideways. One small step, still on the sidewalk. You're closer now. Close enough to see glitter catching sunlight along the hem of her dress. Close enough that one more step would put you within reach. You glance towards the road instinctively. It's clear, for the moment. You extend a hand slightly, not grabbing, just guiding. Come on, you say. The girl looks past you, not at you, beyond you, toward the street. Her body pivots. The breeze lifts the balloons behind you. The metal gate swings faintly on its hinge. You feel the weight of proximity settle in your chest. You are close enough now that this feels comfortable, manageable. You take another step forward. You're already in motion. Whether you step forward first, or called out and followed, the distance between you and the girl is narrowed. The leash is shortened in your hand. Your body has shifted from passerby to participant. No longer observational, it's active. The adults inside the playground reaches towards the gate at nearly the same moment you close the gap from the sidewalk. For a brief, almost reassuring second it feels coordinated. Two vectors converging with enough time to spare. Hey, sweetheart. The adult's voice is gentle. Yours is steady. Come back inside. The girl stands between you, distressed, not frightened. She is simply in the wrong place in the sequence. You're close enough now that one more step would definitely put you within harm's reach. And you calculate that. You could get there. You glance again towards the road. The bend down the block is no longer empty. A dark sedan rounds it. Not recklessly, not screeching, just faster than the sign implies. Windows down. Music bleeding faintly into the afternoon air. You see the movement inside. Shoulders leaning, hands gesturing mid-conversation. The driver's head is angled slightly towards the passenger seat. You feel the timeline tighten. Distance from car to curb. Distance from you, the girl. Distance from the other adult to the gate. Your dog barks. It's a sharp, sudden sound. The sound fractures the air in the way the singing never could. The girl startles. Not backward, forward. One small step closer to the curb. The adult reaches the gate from behind. The angle is wrong. Your hand brushes only air. You lunge. You don't hesitate. You cross the invisible boundary between not my child and this cannot wait. Your foot leaves the sidewalk. You reach. The leash snaps tight as your dog resists the sudden acceleration, its weight pulling against your momentum for a fraction of a second that feels longer than it should. You let the leash slide through your hand, skin burning against friction. You close the final foot of distance. The girl's heels lift from the sidewalk. The sedan is closer than your mind wants to admit. The driver's head snaps forward at the sound of the bark. Brake lights flare. The nose of the car dips slightly as weight shifts forward. You see the driver's face clearly now. Eyes wide, mouth open, disbelief forming too late. You stretch your arm as far as it will go. Your fingertips brush fabric. Glitter. Warm cotton. You think you have it. You think you are early enough. The world narrows into 3 lines. Your hand. Her shoulder. The grille of the car. The tires scream. Rubber against asphalt. The parked delivery van on the side of the road forces the car slightly towards the centre of the lane, narrowing that margin even further. Sunlight flashes across the windshield, blinding for half a breath. You tighten your grip. You pull. Your hand is on the fabric. The car is too close. Your body is already committed. And in the split second before consequence catches up to motion, your mind reaches desperately for footing. Not for action. That part is already in motion. But for meaning. You have to decide what this moment is. Choose how you will frame what is happening. You're already moving. But what you believe about this moment will follow you into the room that comes after. So what do you believe? Do you believe there is a reason? This built itself step by step. Gait, the drift, the narrowing attention, the speed of the car. You can trace the sequence. It didn't appear from nowhere. Do you believe that this is a coincidence? You were here. The car was here. She stepped. That's all. No pattern. No lesson. Just timing intersection in the worst possible way. Or maybe you decide you don't need to know. Understanding won't strengthen your grip. It won't slow the tires. It won't change the angle of impact. Some moments aren't meant to be solved. Go ahead and decide what you think is happening. The poll is started. Good luck. It is delightful getting to watch you reason, trying to figure out what's happening, and all the while wondering underneath the surface. Can you save her? Have you made the right decisions leading to this moment? Will the decision you make now make a difference? You all were so confident before in your decisions. You made them so quickly. Barely any time to think about it. But you're thinking now, aren't you? I'll give you another moment where we lock in your choice. All right. Time to lock you in. And you have decided. Interesting. You've decided that this is all a coincidence. Very well then. No. You refuse the story that's forming in your head. This is not a chain. It's not a sequence. It's not a lesson about gates and angles and attention. It's timing. Only timing. You were here. She was here. The car was here. That's it. The latch earlier. Incidental. The adults turning inward. Normal. The parked van. Irrelevant. The speed? Slightly above the sign, sure, but not monstrous. None of these things were building towards this. They were simply existing. You reject the idea that the world arranges itself into moral geometry. Because if it did, then you would have been the pivot point. A moment earlier, where intervention would have mattered more. You do not grant that to the universe. You grant it a randomness. You feel fabric pull beneath your fingers. You pull. You're not trying to rewrite a sequence. You're not trying to alter this exact fraction of a sentence. Nothing before it matters. Nothing after it exists yet. The driver's eyes snap forward. Brake lights flare. The sound of tyres fighting asphalt rips through the park. This is not fate. This is overlap. Two independent paths colliding in space. You will not elevate it beyond that. You will not assign it to inevitability. You will not build meaning where there is only motion. You tighten your grip. You brace. You commit everything to this one pull. There is no grand design. Just this. Just the fraction of a second between metal and skin. Just timing. Your fingers tighten. For a split second, impossibly small, it feels like leverage. You feel the fabric shift beneath your grip. You pull backward with everything your body has. The leash tears fully from your hand. Your dog bolts sideways, barking in frantic bursts that dissolve into panicked yelps. The car does not stop in time. You feel the force before you understand it. A violent interruption of momentum. A blunt, sickening collision of mass and motion. The impact does not feel cinematic. It feels wrong. It feels like physics refusing mercy. The girl's small body jerks from your grip. The force wrenches your shoulder. Your balance collapses backward. You fall hard against the pavement, scraping skin. Breath knocked loose from your lungs in a single hollow exhale. The car's brakes lock fully. Rubber screams. Metal shudders. The sedan jolts to a shop, stopping several feet beyond where it should have. For a heartbeat, the world is silent. Not because there is no sound, but because your ears are ringing. Your vision blurs at the edges. You taste copper. Your hand is still clenched, still gripping fabric. But the weight you tried to counter is no longer yours to move. Sound returns all at once. A scream. High. Shattering. A parent's voice breaking apart around a name. Teenage driver stumbles out of the car, hands shaking so violently You can't seem to keep them in one place. I didn't see. I didn't. His words collapse into themselves. You try to sit up. Your shoulder burns. Your palms are scraped raw. You look down at your hands as if they belong to someone else. There's glitter on your fingers. A fragment of yellow cotton twisted between them. You realise the cold spreading clarity how close you were. You had contact. You had momentum. You had timing measured in fractions of a second. And it was not enough. The adults form a ring around the space in the street. Someone shouts to call 911. Someone else is already dialing. The balloons lift again in the breeze. Bright. Oblivious. Still tethered to the cooler. The cake sits half cut on the folding table. 4 candles built sideways in melted wax. The birthday banner flutters around the plastic edge of the cooler, as if the wind cannot distinguish between celebration and catastrophe. Your dog returns to you, trembling, pressing against your leg. You become aware of your breathing again, jagged, uneven, insignificant. You replay the last seconds involuntarily. A step, a bark, a reach, a pull. If you had been one stride closer, if the leash hadn't caught, if you had reacted half a breath sooner, if the car had been half a breath slower, you feel the weight of proximity like a bruise. If you were not watching from a distance, you were in it. You crossed the line. You should have done something. You did what someone should do. And still, the geometry did not move. Sirens begin in the distance, growing louder, approaching. Not as a rescue, as a confirmation. You remain seated on the pavement longer than you mean to. Your shoulder throbs. Hands shake. The teenage driver stands in the middle of the lane, staring at his own hands, as if they've betrayed him. The adults' voices fracture into instructions, sobbing disbelief. Park no longer feels balanced. It feels permanently tilted towards the street. And you understand something without language. Closeness is not the same thing as control. The room is quiet. Not the kind of quiet that follows screaming. Not absence. Not shock. Not the kind that exists or anything has been recorded. The walls are plain. The light is even. A single desk waits in the centre of the room. On it rests a thin document. No photographs, no colour. Just a cover page with a title printed in clean, unadorned type. Archival entry, where everyone was looking. There's a chair positioned next to the table. It's neither inviting nor forbidding. It's simply there. And you understand, without being told, that this is where you sit. Not to testify, not to explain, just to confirm. The document has already been prepared. The event has already been structured. All that remains is the context. As you take a seat, the paper does not rustle when you touch it. The room does not react. It waits for you to acknowledge what has already happened. And that is where our story ends for the night. And oh, you were so certain, weren't you? I could feel it in the chat. Oh, I can feel it now. If we just... No, you choose that one. They were so close. And, yes. You were so close, weren't you? You were vigilant. You were proactive. You were analytical. You were rational. And you were compassionate. You were all of those things. And yet, the car still rounded the bend. The heel still lifted. Brake lights still flared. You see, my darlings, proximity is intoxicating. Being near a thing convinces you that you're in control. Seeing the pattern convinces you she can interrupt it. Acting convinces you that effort must be rewarded. But inevitability, well, inevitability does not negotiate with good intentions. And oh, how you tried tonight. I adored it. The confidence, the certainty, the way you believed that one vote would have rewritten physics. You really do tend to think the world bends around you, don't you? Precious. Keep that. It makes the fall sharper. But here's the delicious little secret. You were never voting on whether the tragedy would occur. You were voting on how you would carry it. Observer, participant, witness, omission, futility, or burden. Different flavours of the same ending. And you tasted exactly the one you chose. Now, if you truly believe that a different path would have saved her, by all means, come back another night. Perhaps next time you'll argue louder. You'll fight harder in chat. You'll convince each other. And it'll be right here, smiling all the while. Because while you look inward, or outward, or try to fix the latch, the bend in the road remains. The alarm always sounds. So now tell me, next time, will you be watching? Will you be reaching? Or will you see it forming before anyone else does? Oh, don't answer too quickly. We have all the time in the world. Now then, I'd like to take a moment to thank everyone who has followed tonight. I appreciate you very much. For those of you that are on Twitch, thank you very much for doing all of the Twitchy things. Thank you for raiding in as well, those of you that did raid in. You're very much appreciated. You're awesome people. Thank you. For those of you on YouTube, thank you for joining and for helping to shape our story tonight. I do mean it when I say I could not have done this without you. Do me a favour. Scroll down just a little bit. Double check. Make sure that you are in fact subscribed. Make sure that you've hit that like button. That'll be very helpful. I appreciate that. So then, so that we're all aware and on the same page. Thursdays, as you can guess, are indeed our official stream day. We will be beginning at 7 PM Central, because that is Grove Standard Time now. Yes. So next Thursday is February 19th. We will be back again with another story, another chance to maybe save her, or perhaps someone else. Maybe a chance to save yourself. Who knows? Thriller Thursday. Indeed. Indeed. Well then, thank you, all of you, for your participation. And I hope that you are paying attention to other platforms that we're on. There's always something else being released. You wouldn't want to miss anything. I'm not suggesting that what you find outside of the streams might help you. I'm not denying it either. Well then, until next time, my darling, may harmony find you, and nothing else.